over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CFs, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
All right, it is Thursday night. Of course, it is the Square Circle Digest. I am Sean Stanley. It is the start of the preseason week 1. Watching a little Giants Patriots, little backups going at it here in week 1. Of course, the Dolphins will kick off this weekend, but tonight it's about that wrestling. And this week we got AEW Dynamite. Well, we talked on Tuesday night, so we discussed Raw and a lot of the stuff going on with WWE. AEW Dynamite, it was the Quake at the Lake, I believe is what they ended up calling this event. And man, I was entertained, okay? As a fan watching it, I'm entertained, but I still do not understand what necessarily they're trying to do. That is the one thing that I'm still trying to figure out with AEW. I mean, let's look at what they did last night, okay? Let's just act like you're a brand new to the AEW product, okay? Let's just be brand new to the AEW product, and last night is the first time you turn on the product. What's up, Steve Chapman, Frankie Fresco? How we doing, sir? The first thing you see is Brody King making his way out to the match, a coffin, of course. And then you see Darby Allin take a skateboard and crack him across the face with it and the belly area. And it's got thumbtacks on it. Then he grates his forehead. We're not even, I don't even know if the bell has sounded yet by this point, by the way. And there's already blood flowing from Brody King. If you're a casual wrestling fan, this is the first thing you see. Am I too far away from the mic? I wonder if I have an issue with my mic. Is that any better there, Frankie? EWD Jr., how we doing, sir? Oh, man, you're telling me it's reset? Hold on a minute. Hold on. Let me check my settings. This thing, man.
All right, let's try that now. That should sound a little bit better. Man, now I feel like Big O. Now I got to start all over. For some reason, it was picking up my my webcam. All right, so AEW starts. First thing you see, Brody King coming out to the ring. He's attacked by Darby Allin. It's a skateboard. It's got thumbtacks. He smacks him in the belly. There's thumbtacks everywhere. He grates it across his forehead. There's blood streaming down. This is your first taste of AEW. You sticking around or are you clicking off? I'll ask, everybody right now in the chat that's there, are you sticking around? If you're a casual wrestling fan, I'm not saying because you're a hardcore AEW fan right now or you're an ECW guy or a hardcore guy. If you're a casual wrestling fan, you're sitting down there and you're like, hey, you know what? Let's watch this with the kids. Are you sticking around any longer? Because to me, it was like, look, man, I understand what you're doing as far as what your casual, what your AEW fan is. I get what your demographic is. But man, I don't believe you can start that show with that, man. And then the main event, of course, there's going to be blood, of course, because it's Moxley and Jericho So you bleed in, you bleed out. I mean, sometimes it's okay to be a little bland. I get it. You only have 4 pay-per-views a year, but every damn show doesn't have to be a specialty match. You don't have to have the cage. You don't have to have the shark. I get that was actually tied in with Discovery Shark Week. So I guess technically you have to have that because that's what your broadcast partner wants. But man, I mean, there's too much going on. And then I'm reading some comments and fans are like, oh, damn squash match. That's one of the only matches where I was kind of like, okay, this makes sense. It's Luchasaurus. He jobs out some guy instead of you sending out another guy. I like the Aaron Solo, Ricky Starks. I like a lot of what they're doing. It's just there's a couple things in between where it's kind of like, what the fudge? And I think that's where, to me, I get stuck to where you're not really running this as a business. You're kind of running this as, hey, I'm in charge of the company, and this is what I want to see, and this is what's going to happen, and apparently there was news and, rumors going around about, Tony Khan is a little bit wild backstage. Some people have said he's on the cuff of being like Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis and Kevin Dunn in the back, where they just scream and scream and scream and scream. And apparently it got to the point to where somebody high up, which I'm guessing would be like, one of the stars, was like, I'm done. And then that's what supposedly led to now the direction that they're taking by promoting some people and making them in charge of creative and taking some stuff away from Tony Khan. Apparently that is what kind of led to where they're at now. And this is a spot where, as I said on Tuesday, this is where they need to start kind of cleaning it up. It's not terrible. It's not. It's a good product. I was entertained. They had great matches. And as you said, Frankie, Penta, Phoenix, and Andrade, and oh man, I keep forgetting, and Roosh. That was a great match, man. It was a great match. At this point, look, you're not competition. You're not. And anybody who sits there and says you are, hold on, I need to switch things here. And so now I'm going to lose it. But if you sit there and you thump that thing, that AEW is competition.
Blind ass fan alert. Look out, everyone. We've got a blind ass fan coming through.
And that's Tony Khan right there running into the wall, because that is all you are, is just straight up. Either you're just very stupid or you're just going to be AEW through and through. And that's fine too. But to sit there and say that you are, competition is absurd at this point, man. And we're going to get into more. I mean, they brought CM Punk back. Right? I mean, that to me shows a little bit of desperation. At the end of August, they're going to have the pay-per-view. A lot of people were like, and I was watching it again last night because I remembered something as it was going off. It was like, is CM Punk cleared? And then I watched it back and I was like, oh, wait a minute. He's making contact with people. If you're not cleared, you're not making any contact. Now, whether he can go a full match with the foot, but at this point now, you've kind of made your bed. I believe that All Out, it's going to have to be Punk and Moxley to unify the titles. I don't know if you just didn't, again, could you have kept Punk out a little bit more? But again, they see themselves as competing, I believe, which is why you make the move and you say, hey, CM Punk, we need you to show up. We need you here. We need to get there. And I've not seen the numbers yet from overnight, but I'm sure it was maybe peaked to 1 million at some point with CM Punk returning. I didn't see anything about it being leaked out that he was returning, so I'm not sure if anybody actually, tuned in. But and then another thing, you want to know this thing that they talk about with competition, and again, I'm not here saying that AEW is a bad product. It's not. It's a very good product. But they've only been around for 3 years, 4 years, if you want to look at some of the things, the inner workings between, the running. But WWE and the machine's been here a lot longer. They got a long ways to go before their competition. But another number here I'll throw at you. CM Punk, the night after the pay-per-view, when he hurt his foot, or the Rampage, I think he hurt his foot on Dynamite. They put that up on YouTube. It hit 1.8 million views as of yesterday. WWE, the Dexter Lumis clip where they rip up the thing and they show it's Dexter Lumis, which was caught by WWE cameras only. That's already at 1.8 million views. In since Monday? So in 4 days, they've got to where the CM Punk, when he announced that he was having to step away because of the foot injury, they've got the same amount of views on their page. Again, it's a machine over there. Hopefully there's somebody there that can be like, hey, let's just be the best AEW we can be. And again, I was very entertained. Some of those matches last night were very good. Like I said, the Ricky Starks, Aaron Solo. We talked about the Penta, the tag team match there. That was very good. The stuff in the backstage area I thought was very well done. The Hobbs getting upset and breaking the TV and all that. The Dark Order, Adam Page with when you had the Young Bucks come up and be like, hey, we want you to be our partner. Well, you know what? It's their turn to shine. They stood behind me when it was my turn. So I'm going to do the same with them. You guys go find somebody that has your back. And man, it's at the point now, and this is what I saw somebody ask me on, this morning during the show, does Kenny Omega come back? If he comes back and he is the person that comes back for the trios tournament to team up with Young Bucks, they're in all-out panic mode. If you bring back Kenny Omega, who was the face of AEW at one time, and you just bring him back to be the third person in a trios tag team with the Young Bucks, and that's the big return, man, you have totally started flipping out and worried about you're in desperation at that point. If that is the way they bring him back. Again, maybe they don't, and I hope they don't. But if that is the way that Kenny Omega returns, that's flat out just stupid to me. That's a waste of Kenny Omega. If that is what they end up doing. Don't know if that's what they're going to end up doing. I thought, again, when they put this all together, to me, it looked like it was going to be the Undisputed Era turning on the Young Bucks, which they did. And then Omega, I thought, would come out and make the save, and then you'd have, 3-on-3. And then ultimately, maybe somewhere down the line, it works into where they're both in the trios tournament, and they end up maybe being the final teams, and you settle it all there. But Omega needs more than just being, here's our third person, Kenny Omega. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be more there, man. If he would have came out, they would have been beating down the Young Bucks, and it wasn't Adam Page, and it was Kenny Omega making the save, maybe then it's a little bit better. Let's see. C. Chapman says, this brings us back to what we talked about several weeks ago. They're trying hard to compete with WWE. They know they're behind in the ratings and trying anything to gain viewers. Yeah, but the problem is they're geared toward their viewership, and they're not changing. It's obvious they're not changing. And then again, look, man, it's their business plan. It's their model, and they put on very entertaining. But again, it's entertaining, and it's, for, I think, to me, hardcore wrestling fans. If I'm a casual fan turning through the channels, I don't necessarily know that I'm stopping and going to be enthralled with AEW's product. I don't. And whether that's because when I think of wrestling, the first thing you start thinking of is the WWE machine. And that's exact opposite of kind of what you see there. I don't know. I don't know where the disconnect is to me, but there's a little bit of a disconnect when I think of the casual wrestling fan and what I watch on Wednesday night. For instance, a Big O's here. No, I switched over and actually ran it. I'll probably get dinged for that now. Watch, O's probably got it copyrighted. Now my YouTube show is going to get hit and I'm going to have to silence it or something. Let's see. Frankie Fresco says, if they want to take some fans from WWE, they need to Fiend. It's not going to, I don't think it's going to happen, buddy. I know there's talks internally in the WWE right now that the Fiend will be returning and working with Triple H. Whether that is 100% the case, take it for what it's worth. As in wrestling, believe nothing of what you hear and half of what you see. Let's see. But yeah, so everything looks like it. I mean, again, if they can pull that off and bring back, the Fiend, bring back Sasha Banks, bring back Naomi. They brought back Dakota Kai. They brought back Bayley. They're repackaging, Ciampa. They're repackaging Kevin Owens. They're going to repackage Lacey Evans. I mean, it's definitely getting the prints of Triple H on it. Now, again, it's going to take a while to build up some of the, the mid-card guys to be believable competition for your Roman Reigns and your McIntyres and all them. But it can be done. It's got to be done, to me, smartly. Again, I thought they did very well with Ciampa. They put him in the 2 6-mans, and then he ended up beating AJ Styles, and then he did the whole thing with Harley Race and bringing it back to the U.S. title. And again, for a moment, you thought, oh, he might pull this off. But that elevated him a little bit more than where he was at. Because remember, as Ciampa, hell, he took his first name away from him. You're just Ciampa now. You're Mrs. Lackey. Now he's no longer Mrs. Lackey. You know who he is. And I think as you start seeing some of these, the guys coming, the women maybe possibly coming up from NXT, you start seeing all of this kind of being meshed together, and you start seeing guys elevated, not just, elevated when we need them. No, elevate everybody, bring up that roster, and start making some solid mid-card feuds as well. And you're starting to see a little bit of that. Will it stay? I don't know. But right now, as I said on Tuesday, everything they're lobbing up right now, Triple H is just dinging them out. No Grand Slam yet, but he's hitting some home runs. Let's see, Armando. And by Armando, I think you sent me some stuff. I think it was on either Facebook or thing. So I got to get back in touch with you. I'm sorry. I just saw it today. I don't know when you sent them. So if it's been forever, I apologize. It just popped up, but I'll get back with you. Those magazines, they look pretty badass. I had a few of those as well. Let's see, not throwing off the subject, that bundle of, there's what you're saying. Would they sell or should I keep them? It's weird, Armando. If you can find a actually wrestling shop, depending, because again, remember, Pro Wrestling Illustrated was they printed a lot of copies. There were some special editions. There were some special, here and there, but there were a lot of issues. But again, not all those issues, depending on how you kept them, in good condition and things like that. Look, man, I'm not gonna say you can go get rich on them, but what I would say to you is this: where are you located, Armando? What area are you? Are you here in Miami? Are you located somewhere else in the United States, if you're, hopefully you're still on, you can let me know where you're at. No, you don't have to post it. Winston said, "Oh, you're in North Carolina." Okay, no, that is beautiful, because I saw you had some of the Ric Flair ones and stuff like that. Man, go to some conventions. Go to some of the conventions, and if they have the posters, and you can get some of those guys, I would have those signed. Get them signed, or even signed on the magazine if they're in the magazine. I saw the one you had, I think, Ric Flair with the, if you can get that signed by Flair, well, that's going to elevate that. Again, I'm not saying that they're, millions of dollars. And I'm even saying they're hundreds of dollars. But I mean, again, value is on what somebody will pay you for it. There's some people out there that will probably pay for it. I think if it's signed, if it's in good condition, they still might pay for it. There's a lot of really wrestling memorabilia collectors. And if you don't believe me, go watch WWE Treasures with the guy from the Hitmakers, the big guy, AJ Francis, I think was his name there, or is his name, but I think it was something else. Can't remember I think it was something. But there's guys that just collect, I mean, thousands of dollars to buy Ric Flair's robe at auction. They actually have auctions where again, a lot of the wrestlers, they'll put their memorabilia up and you can purchase it and things like that. So there might be an auction house too that might be looking for some of the magazines. They might be more than what I'm thinking, Armando, but I also don't want to sit here and be like, oh yeah, go get money, and they're worth what you paid for them. But there's definitely a lot of Frankie, correct. If you do get it signed, make sure you get authenticated. And usually there's authentication on the premises of most of the conventions. There's usually somebody there to authenticate everything that is there. They can authenticate that they were there and did the signing. I don't know how it works. I don't know if they have to come like before you do it. Maybe check in with them before you start getting autographs, just to find out how the authentication process works, to make sure that they can authenticate everything for you. So then again, you have that paperwork as well, so you can give that out. But there's money to be made, man. If you can get some of this stuff, man, it is really amazing. I mean, down to hell. What was somebody had Kane's first mask, I believe, in WWE at the time. Again, they're trying to build a and I don't know if they built it yet or not, but they want to build a brick and mortar Hall of Fame, to where you can come in and see, the Hall of Famers and their stuff, the Ric Flair robe, the Andre the Giant, the boots, and they got the little thing set up. So the premise of the Treasures show was to hunt down a lot of the memorabilia that they wanted, like Ric Flair's robe that he wore at the Royal Rumble when he went the full hour and won the championship, his first Royal Rumble. Those worth a little bit more money. So then, boom, they got that. It was Macho Man's NWO gear, things like that. They went and found, and it was pretty interesting. Undertaker's purple gloves and mask, which he wore when he broke his orbital bone. I think it's an orbital bone, right? Let's see. You take a photo of him while he's signing it and take it to them. Oh, okay. Well, Frankie knows. Frankie knows a lot more about it than I do. But definitely, man, again, it's one of those things, man. When you go to the conventions, also though, check, because some of them will charge you more if you bring your own memorabilia. It might be $10 for an autograph, but it's $20 if you want them to sign your magazine. So just be on the sing for that as well. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the chat. C-Man was hitting me up on something. I know when we were at the Comic-Con, we had a couple of the guys that were there, the Miami Beach Convention Center. Not Miami Beach Convention Center at the time. It was Airport Convention Center, the Marriott. I think it was the Airport. Airport Convention Center is right there off of 836, I believe. And we used to do the Comic-Cons there. We did Now it's become a big thing, man. There's a group called FSCW, which is just all cosplay and all that. And they got Kylan King. There's some other big name talent that travel. Ruby Soho just did the one in North Carolina. I think she came out and did that. So there's a lot of conventions going on. Usually, if there's anything comic related, you're gonna have the wrestling there. For some reason, I mean, San Diego is one of the biggest ones, and then also that's the one where they also do the figures, the wrestling figures, and they announce those there, what's upcoming and things like that. Let's see, what else was there I wanted to get into. Today was going to be a pretty quick show compared to what the marathon we had the other day. Let's see. Here's the. Let's see here. This is in reference to. Let's see. Here we go. Frankie Fresh says, I think the problem with AEW is that, like you said, they go all out with these regular shows. Not all the matches have to be all out. Yeah. Yeah, but and again, it's one of those things to where. I think they need more TV time, but then my worry is, what are they going to do with the more TV time? Because when I watch what they do with the 2 hours, I don't necessarily know that just if they get more TV time. And again, I don't mean adding to the 2 hours of Dynamite and making it 3 hours. I know we were talking about that. I do not mean that. Keep Dynamite 2 hours. Find another hour on another night, or 2 hours on another night. Whatever it is. I'm not saying add and make it a freaking marathon like Raw. I'm not saying that at all. But what I worry about is how they used that time. I mean, look at right now. You don't have Bryan Danielson. He's been out. He's coming back. CM Punk's coming back. If you return with Kenny Omega, Wardlow right now, you're kind of throwing him in with FTR, so you're kind of getting, there's so much 6-man going on right now, but then you have a trios tournament, which none of these 6-man tag teams are involved in. You have Wardlow and FTR. I don't even think they're in the trios tournament. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Like things like that is some of the stuff where it's like, it just feels rushed on some of the stuff. Like, hey, we need to throw in, and they have the untrusted or the trust something. Bro, they haven't even been on AEW Dynamite TV and they're in your tournament? I would have much rather had, FTR and Wardlow in there. And then you can cost, again, not saying they got to go through and win the whole thing, but have Jay Lethal or somebody come down and cost them. And then now you roll the Wardlow feud off of that, or somebody come out and cost FTR or whatever. And then now you've got the tag team, set up there as well. And it's just, to me, it's after watching a lot. And again, maybe some things will change, because it does take some time for stuff to change. It doesn't happen overnight, man. It's the one thing. It's just like, in football, man. Yeah. You change the coach, you change, I'm going to use University of Miami. Okay. Yeah. You've changed the coach. You've brought in new coaches and all that, but the guy's still working there. Still the same. That doesn't change. And I'm not saying that's bad, but what I'm saying though is if you're using those guys, you still got to work through what you've already laid out in your creative plans, right? You can't just wipe the slate clean and be like, okay, we're starting over, guys. No, there's already stuff rolling into the next pay-per-view that you've already started doing. So now you have to slowly start moving guys in and playing the Connect Four without having, 4 in a row. It's very delicate and a very hard, situation as far as, for having change overnight. And that's one of the things too, with when we were talking with Vince McMahon, I was like, it's not going to happen. You're not going to see the change overnight. And then you'd see a small thing and you're like, oh, maybe some stuff will change, and then shut down. But ultimately let's see how, because to me now, the more I'm seeing and hearing about Tony Khan, he's like every other businessman. He doesn't want to get his hands out. You know, he has a vision, and that's what he wants. That's what he wants. That's what he wants. We'll have to see if that changes. I want to read this. This is from Fightful Select. Sean Ross Sapp. Bray Wyatt's name has been pitched for a return within WWE Creative. Although that's not guaranteeing anything, the new regime under Triple H seemingly be more open to Wyatt's return to the company as opposed to Vince McMahon. Sapp reports that one WWE talent told him that they could tell that Vince McMahon was simply done with Wyatt and didn't like him personally, with McMahon going as far as to shout derogatory things at Bray Wyatt about his physique in front of other people backstage. It said several WWE superstars have told Sapp they would go to bat to bring him back to the company, although they don't think they will have to. It's also worth noting that Sapp says those close to Wyatt have started to get very quiet about happenings with him. This is a big change compared to what they have done with other rumors and reports in the past. So, again, take it for what it is. But, again, I think one of the things that you're seeing now with AEW is that these guys had so much control that I think Tony Khan has learned that they can't have so much creative freedom. But now how do you bring them back in? How do you wrangle everything back in when you've let them pretty much run the asylum right now? Whereas now Triple H, all he's doing is letting go a little bit because Vince had everything just locked down. You couldn't do anything. Vince told you what you were going to do. You could throw an idea at him, but if you didn't like it, too bad. You're not going to do it anyways. Now Triple H has got the easier task. He's not trying to wrangle all this creative freedom in and saying, hey, let's tone this down. No, he's saying, hey, let's tone this up a little bit. And he's allowing them to breathe more, be more of who they are. As we said all the time about pro wrestling, it's about the best characters, the best gimmicks are the ones that are you. You allow them to start being themselves, and you're going to see a difference in the product. And I believe that's what's showing right now on WWE TV, whereas the opposite is happening right now for AEW, because I believe right now they're trying to wrangle some things in. Not saying they're trying to bring it all tight now, but again, I think some had a lot more creative freedom than they probably should have at AEW. Again, we'll see. Again, easier to let go a little bit and allow them to expand than it is now to try to bring everybody and wrangle them back in. That's the problem Tony Khan and AEW is going to have right now, whereas Triple H now is just like, hey, you guys have been basically in jail. Now I'm going to let you, breathe. So we'll have to see. Let's see. Bleeding. Yeah. To me, bleeding. It's one of those things, man, that there's a time and a place for that, man. There's a time and a place for that. You shouldn't just be bleeding to bleed, man. I've never understood that, man. And I think maybe that's why, look, I love hardcore matches. I love the death matches. I would never do them. There's a place for them. There's a lot of talented guys that can put their bodies through hell for that. It's not my style of match and things like that. But when you're in those style of matches, you're going to bleed. I get that. I understand that. But it's just, man, to me, it's every time. And look, man, I really like the Darby. When Darby Allin first debuted, I said, there's no way they're going to get me to like this character. There's no way. This guy just doesn't. Then Cody went out there. They did the things, and Cody made him look like a star. And I was like, okay. But now it's just getting to the point now to where every time it's what was it with Andrade? It was the coffin with thumbtacks. Now it's the skateboard with thumbtacks. It's always something. I mean, man, just hit him with a goddamn skateboard. And I don't get why you have to have thumbtacks. Why 30 seconds in the match, the guy bleeding like a stuffed pig. It just doesn't make sense to me. And that's the opening match of your show. That's getting your match. That's getting your show started, man. And I know Frankie and some of them go to a lot of the independent matches, but to me, that's where I learned like how you build things up. You start with the first match, you build it up in the second match, the third match, depending on how many matches you do. Now, say the fourth match is right before intermission. That's kind of like your main event one. Boom. Then you go back into, your intermission. Then you come out of intermission, you get them back in, you catch their attention with that first match. Maybe you have another match and then right into your main event, and things like that. It's about building it up, man. I think the problem with AEW is you're like this the whole freaking night, man. It's just like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And at the end, you're going to get something. So now you're just doing this. And then after the show's done, it's like, it's a freaking roller coaster ride. Let's see. Whenever I hear Jay Lethal, I see Rick in the ring. That's my life. Oh, hell yeah, man. That is one of the best things. And I've told you guys before many times, man. Go watch Ric Flair, Jay Lethal going back and forth at Impact or TNA at the time. I don't even know what the hell it was at that time. That is just gold, man. That is 100% gold. When those two just started going back and forth. And what's funny is, and Jay Lethal told the story, if you ever get to see Chris Van Vliet, sits down, he talks to a lot of wrestlers. Another good a recommendation to go and check out him, because again, you get to watch and you get to learn a lot about the performers outside of wrestling. And one of the things was Lethal said, one of the scariest things, they were like, hey, get with Rick and find out what they want to do, what he wants to do tonight. So he walked over to Rick and he said, hey, big man, yeah, we'll call it out in the ring. And Jay Lethal's like, what do you mean we're going to call it out in the ring? We're doing a promo. And all that was off the cuff between those two. Nothing was planned. He came out and he went and he did it. And then, and Ric Flair already had him in the back doing that for people, performing that for like friends and stuff like that. Flair would grab Lethal and be like, hey, show them your Ric Flair and things like that. So he knew what he could do. But the fact that they just went out there and off the cuff and just outlived everything was great. Let's see. Vince will be back, I believe. No, Vince will not be back. Nope. Vince has his shares, but that's as far as it's going to go. Coming to support the show. Great job, bro. Thanks, Hugo. Appreciate you, my man. Armando says, I disagree. Triple H put such a better product out there. It will be better in the long run, even business-wise. Look at NXT. It has been spirited. Yeah. I mean, when it was black and gold, the 2.0 is terrible. Let's see. Steve Chapman, did I ever blade? I don't know if I have them. I did. We had the Christmas tree match, which had barbed wire. So I got hard way that way, ripped open my forearm. I don't know if you could see it right there a little bit, but there. And then yeah, I did first blood match, which was me against the I guess I might as well go into this a little bit. I used to be called the American Taliban. And because I was in the military and I teamed up with the Syrian Slasher. This was, of course, during the wartime. So we were doing our thing. And then at the end of it, he turned on me and then I came back out and we did a first blood match and all that stuff for the U.S. against Syria and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I've had my things. I mean, I don't have chunks missing, but I got some little scars up there in the forehead. But again, I'm not sitting there trying to take plugs out of my head either. I'm not doing like these guys are doing and shoving what now. They got those big sticks that they put in there and they stab them in their head and then leave them sitting there. No, not for me, buddy. Not for me. Scummy. Big O looks different tonight. Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit, but apparently Big O's there. So he says, thank you all for joining us. Please help us and hit that like button. So please hit the like, hit the subscribe. And as always, man, we appreciate your support here on all our YouTube channels. Make sure you check out Big O Show Cuts. And, of course, our Big O Radio show tomorrow. Of course, we're at Acura. So make sure you check us out bright and early in the morning. And let me see what else. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. What about a mixed tag tournament? One guy, actually, I don't know if you saw AEW last night. They're putting together a mixed tag team. They said mixed tag titles. I don't know if it's something that Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti made up, but it looks like they're going to do the mixed tag team titles. They're going to do that. It's Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti against, who was it? I have to check that out. But they just showed it real quick, and then they kind of hinted at the mixed tag title. So we'll see if they bring that back. And like you said, maybe no belts, but maybe they'll just be crowned as the mixed tag team champions there. Let's see here. Look at that. They brought FTR and it should be an RNA. That's the other thing that I will never understand when you look at what they've done. You had a chance, and actually, there are reports right now that Tony Khan, apparently there's a mix-up in the paperwork. So Ring of Honor he hasn't taken full control of it. Although he's had 2 pay-per-views under the banner of Ring of Honor and some other things there, but he has not taken full control of Ring of Honor yet. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. Apparently everything's done, but there's a paperwork mishap on his end, and now it's kind of taking a little bit of time to make it happen and get it fixed. So I'm going to hold off on the Ring of Honor talk until I see that gets fixed there. I watched an old Abdul the Butcher versus the Sheik match last night, and before the match even started, you could see the huge divots in both their heads. Dude, do you know that Abdullah the Butcher, like his head looked like a canyon, like the scar tissue? It was if you poured water on his head, you could see it just like stream down. Like it was amazing. The fact that of how he sat there, and again, he used to hide the fork under his breast there, and he'd flip it, boom, bam, stab you with the fork. And the test I heard was, depending on how he hit you with the fork, was whether you knew you were going to last or not with him. But dude was very sick, man. And then, but apparently he's got a pretty good, I think he's in Georgia there. He's got a barbecue restaurant. I don't know if he still or the family owns it. I'm not sure who it is there. Trying to find out what he started a barbecue restaurant. It's in Atlanta. It is called Abdullah the Butcher West End. It's actually closed. It is closed. Oh, it opens at 11 a.m. Friday, so I guess it's just closed for the night, for the day. But man, it's in Atlanta. Good food. Since it's been a while now, Cody leaving was a good thing or bad for AEW? I think maybe a good thing with the roster because you don't need to find time for him, I guess. But also think it was a bad thing because it showed that there were some cracks in AEW. And since then, I think there's been a lot more bad than good because people started digging a little more. Because up until Cody left, everything with AEW was kind of hitting. Not saying it was Cody. Now, again, I'm not. But at that point, they didn't really have any of the, shine taken from them. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, one of your EVPs is leaving for more money? This is a guy that founded this company, and he's leaving because he can't, make the money. And I think the first thing that I thought about there was also because during that time, and again, what they do with MJF, I have no idea. But the fact that WWE can that easily say, how much money you want? Okay, Cody, come to us. You think they don't want it? They're not going to do that with any hand-picked guy they want on that roster? Can AEW get in a bidding war? Look, 2023, January 1st, 2023, MJF contract is over. Is there a bidding war? Will Tony Khan be able to, again, one of my things I believe is this. If Tony Khan should have done everything in his power to make MJF happy to where he never got to the point to where it was like, okay, you know what? Let me go test the waters, because you're not going to. And if you do, they're going to overprice it so much that by the end of the time, you're going to be like, what the hell did we do? I'll go back to NWO. One of the best things that happened, The Outsiders, one of the best things that happened for WCW. But it also became one of the worst because of the contracts they signed them to with the kickers. So as soon as you bring somebody else in making more money, they get kicked. They get kicked up. Of course. Oh, bring X-Pac in. Pay them whatever. Oh, you want to give them more than us? Okay, go ahead. Well, guess what? Their contracts, they get kicked up to whatever X-Pac gets paid. Bret Hart, bring him over. I know you're going to pay him better than us. Bam. Oh, guess what? Now not one guy's making $6 million a year. Now you got 3 guys making $6 million a year. Because Kevin Nash's contract had the kicker too. And I'm sorry to tell you, man, not a lot of people in wrestling worth $6 million a year, man. Not happening. Not bringing in that much. Not putting that many asses in the seats. Let's see. New Jack's head in darks. Yeah, no, New Jack's another one. It was another crazy mo. I watched him jump off a balcony at a country restaurant and go through a table. Let's see. Sean, what do you think they are going to do with CM Punk and Moxley storyline with the AEW title? Man, I mean, easy solution is put it on CM Punk, move Moxley on, and just go. Get in, another. CM Punk is going to be your face of AEW. I'm sorry to tell you, man. I'm sorry to tell you. I know people love Moxley and love the Wild thing and they love all that stuff. But CM Punk is the poster child for AEW. He is. Now, can you turn Moxley heel and maybe have CM Punk chase him for a little bit? But then you do that, then the whole Blackpool Combat Club thing becomes cloudy. So again, I think if CM Punk is 100% healthy and can go, I don't know that you do anything with the storyline other than make it a very good classical match. Let them do what they do in the ring, and have CM Punk. And again, what you could end up doing is have whoever you want to feud with Moxley next. Maybe Moxley hits the paradigm shift and the ref's down, somebody comes out and nails Moxley. Moxley's out, CM Punk's out. They work their way up, and whoever is going to feud with Moxley next is the reason why they work their way up. CM Punk catches them, go to sleep, 1, 2, 3. And then Moxley can go after whoever, cost them the belt. Maybe something like that. But I don't know that you want to go like heel baby face. Moxley's that gray character. Keep him there. He can go crazy and be heelish style and everything else. But I don't think you want to sit there and go, because then now you start changing Blackpool Combat Club. Do you turn Bryan Danielson heel? Is Wheeler Yuta going heel? Now you start working on different working on different things. I don't know if there's going to be much of a storyline there. Then, they're both the AEW champion. Moxley's the interim, and then they're going to head into the match and go. And Frankie Fresco, you're not alone. You're not alone. A lot of people are tired of Moxley. And I don't know why. I do understand that, again, I think he does a little bit too much hardcore lately. But I mean, dude is always there and gives you freaking 1,000%, man. Whenever you need him, he's there. He's that He's what Kenny Omega was during the COVID era for AEW. That's what Moxley's been. Hey, we need somebody to hold on to the belt for a little bit. Boom, go. And I agree. He's always bleeding. It's one of those things, but that's where I say I think sometimes they've given too much freedom creatively to a lot of these guys and let them work freely in their match to where you get what you got last night, where in the first match everybody's bleeding. In the main event, everybody's bleeding. It's just, there's just, to me, my own personal opinion, again, I'm AEW and WWE. I like both products. I find something wrong with both. I'll give you my straight opinion. I think they both have very talented rosters. I wish AEW would clean up some of their stuff. But I don't need to see blood every freaking week, man. I don't have to see a coffin match every week. I don't have to see a feud. You know, I'd like to see them continued and maybe further intensified, but every week it's like, you know, it's just something more. It's a Quake at the Lake. It's Battle of the Belts. It's, you just call it AEW Dynamite. That's your damn show. That's your show. AEW Dynamite. Make it the best damn Dynamite you can. You have a Battle of the Belts. And do you know something? It was the Ring of Honor heavyweight title that was your big draw. It wasn't even an AEW title. That's what bothers me a lot about what AEW does. I get it. Ring of Honor, you purchased it, but it just, no. If AEW is the name on the screen of TV, then freaking give me an AEW title match. You don't have NXT coming up to Raw and defending the title every week. You'll have a few exceptions here and there they used to do where they brought up, I think it was Cole and Ciampa one time during a Raw because some flights were delayed. They needed to have some people there to wrestle, so they ended up throwing a NXT title match on Raw just so they had some, you know, TV time. But man, it's accentuate your positives, hide your negatives. I think Paul Heyman said it best when he did ECW. He was like, we accentuate our positives and we hide the negatives. That's why the rooms were always so dark and grimy. He's like, we didn't have good lighting. We didn't have necessarily good backdrops. We had a freaking cage. We had some curtains. I don't want to shine a light on that. Shine a light on the product in the ring, the violence in the ring. Accentuate your positives, hide your negatives. AEW is like an open book. WWE too, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're perfect. But I feel like WWE is taking that turn with the current regime. And again, will it change? I don't know. But to me, they are making more of a turn and a change to where you can see an uptick in their product. Whereas AEW is kind of, I don't know which way they're going to go. You think Kenny Omega will hold the AEW title again? I think if healthy, yes. If healthy, yes. I think he will get another run. I think he will deserve another run for what he has done for AEW. The fact that he wrestled so damn injured and so beat up to get to a point to where the company can be without him for hell. It's been over a year. Right? It feels like it's been forever. I think it's been over a year. But he was wrestling injured so that the company could get to a footing to where he could get the time off to get the surgeries. Let's see. Color should be used 100%. 100% Corn Iowa Productions. 100%. Again, that's to me, that's what it used to be, right? I mean, look, Dusty used to bleed all the time, but he got attacked. He got jumped. And you saw the blood and the crimson in the hair. Ric Flair used to bleed all the time, but it was for him. He would lose all that blood. Why? Because he didn't want to lose the title. Though they meant something. It wasn't just, Ric Flair just didn't go out for a match with, Ricky Morton on TBS and there's 60 pints of blood laying in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what to me needs to change. Do you think AEW needs a service down the road like WWE Network? If they do, it'll be HBO Max. That is the Time Warner or Discovery Warner, whatever the hell they're called now. That's HBO Max. That would be their streaming service. Do I think they need it? Yeah, but also I don't know how their contracts are worked. If they worked, percentages with their pay-per-views, they can't go to streaming. They can't. Because the money will not be coming in from pay-per-views, because the pay-per-views would be streamed. If the streaming service is smart, they would make AEW put their pay-per-views on the streaming service as well, which is what WWE Network did. And then the wrestlers, there's not that pie's not there for the wrestlers. So it's one of those things. Moz versus Punk, and you bring back Omega. Look, man, I hope they don't bring him back for the trios tournament. I just hope he's not the third guy for Young Bucks. If they do that, I'm all for that. I just don't want him to be like, Young Bucks are in the ring and it's like, hey guys, here's Kenny Omega. I think it's a waste, man. Bring him back for something that means something. If it's, at the end of Mox and Punk, he comes out, I'm all for that. All for that. How do you think they're going to build Wardlow going forward? Man, I do like the steps they're taking right now with him. I think the Orange Cassidy move set him back. And I don't mean necessarily just because I'm not taking anything away from Orange Cassidy. But to me, Wardlow is being built as a freaking beast. He's taking out 9, 10, 11 security guards at a time, in a match the week before. All of a sudden, he gets to Orange Cassidy, and it takes him 20 minutes to beat Orange Cassidy. I get that you don't want to, squash your guy. But to me, at that point, for what Wardlow was, to me, have Orange Cassidy do his, his Orange Cassidy stuff, and then just have Wardlow crush him. Just have Wardlow crush him. 1, 2, 3, it's over. And Wardlow just walk out. He went 20 minutes to beat Orange Cassidy, and then he stood up Orange Cassidy and shook his hand. At that point where you were building Wardlow, that to me, that shouldn't have happened. That shouldn't have happened. The Wardlow where they're bringing him out and he's going face to face with the big guy, Singh or whatever his name is. I like that. I like that Wardlow. I like what they're building up there. With him, when he took out Lethal, I like that version of Wardlow. The interesting thing was Karrion Kross was asked to go on AEW and take on Wardlow, and he declined it. Smart move by him. Smart move. Probably been good for Wardlow, but smart move by Karrion Kross. That's protecting your product, your brand. He understood what his brand was, and he knew what they wanted. And again, AEW doesn't hide it. AEW is like, hey, don't come in. We'll put you in an even match with Wardlow. No, Wardlow's going to go over. It's laid out there. Now, it's up to you whether you want this check or, and kudos to Karrion Kross. He's like, thought about my brand and everything else. No, that's not for me. It seems they don't know what to do with Powerhouse Hobbs. Yeah, no, I don't think they do. They don't. They don't know what to do with a lot of those guys, man. Look at Ricky Starks. I mean, he's in there with. It almost seems to me like when they don't know what to do with you, they insert QT Marshall. What do we do with him? I don't know. Throw QT and the Factory in there, and then let him fight Aaron Solo one week. Then he'll fight Kamari another week. Then he'll take on that guy, and then he'll take on QT. And then by then we'll build it up to where we can figure it out. QT Marshall to me is like the insert in case, or break glass in case of emergency. What are we doing with the guy? Let's get QT Marshall. Let's get the Factory. Let's put him over there. That'll give us 4 weeks of matches we can figure out after that. And that's part of the problem too of what you're seeing now, is that as you're trying to bring everything back in, now you're starting to push and elevate more guys, but at the same time, it's still unorganized as you're trying to wrangle things back in. Whereas again, Triple H has got everybody here, and all he's doing is loosening it a little bit, and everybody's still right there. Whereas right now, AEW's got guys everywhere, and they're trying to, come on, guys, bring it back in. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder when you start doing that. And guys will not resign, and guys will leave, and everything else. And Jeff Hardy's still taking care of Jeff Hardy right now. And then hopefully he gets everything changed and taking care of what he needs to take care of right now. I have not seen anything on him wrestling related. Have not. Let's see. I think they did not want to hurt Cassidy's fan base. Yeah, but I mean, dude, you're fighting Wardlow, man. You're building guys he's beat 20 security guys in one match. You tell me he can't just, Orange Cassidy thinks he's doing this little thing, and then all of a sudden Wardlow grabs him, choke slams him down 1, 2, 3, or power bombs him, and it'd be over. And then even Orange Cassidy could do something, go off TV for a couple weeks, come back and be like, oh, I wasn't ready, and then maybe challenge him again and have the same thing happen or something like that. I mean, again, to me, it's tough. It's tough, man, because I watch all this stuff, and to me, you have to make it make sense. And some of the stuff just doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't. Wardlow should not take that long to beat, Orange Cassidy. You've got, and somebody just asked, what's the purpose of the FTW title? It was Taz's title. He brought it 1 week, and it was like, hey, you know what? They gave it to Brian Cage at the beginning. It was like Taz's group title. Whoever was in the group was going to have it. Ricky Starks ended up getting it, and he had it for all that time. And then now they've given it to Hook because it is Taz's son. So he's got the title, so it means nothing. It's not even a recognized title. And they even said that. I mean, Taz says it so many times. He's like, don't worry, people, this title is not recognized by AEW. It doesn't, so it's one of those things. Any thoughts on Bray Wyatt coming back? I kind of talked about it a little bit ago. Corn Iowa Productions. There's talk internally. They are starting creatively to pitch ideas about Bray Wyatt. So we'll sit and see what happens there. But I think now that Vince isn't there, there's probably more of a chance for him to go back. And again, man, look, he wants, I believe, more creative control on that character. I think with Triple H, they will work with that and give him more creative. Problem with Vince is he wanted everything to be his. And obviously he didn't like Bray Wyatt's physique. But to me, that's what Bray Wyatt needs to be for that character, for that gimmick. That physique you see is what he needs to be. So we'll see. I mean, again, as I say all the time, believe nothing of what you read or hear and half of what you see when it comes to pro wrestling. The booking is horrible lately for AEW. Agree 100%, Alexis. 100%. How's Randy? I haven't heard anything about him since the last thing was he was going to probably have to do back surgery and be out until 2023. And that's kind of everything when radio's kind of silent on Randy Orton right now. Now, does that mean something big's probably happen? He'll be on Raw next week. But, again, back injuries is one of those things. Now, though, not as bad as it used to be with the way medicine is these days. Just get that surgery and go. Like what WWE's doing, Bobby Lashley, United States title. Terry, I agree 100%. I just like the fact that they're making the title mean something. The fact that they're showing the history of the U.S. title. Making a mid-card title mean something. I like what they're doing with Gunther as well. I think with him as the champion, it's elevating the title a little bit more. What they do with Ricochet and some of those guys there, I mean, I don't like that they keep feeding those guys to Gunther, though. I don't like that. Shinsuke, Ricochet, some of those stuff like that. I don't like that, but we'll have to see. Do these guys seek their own surgeons, or is organization have its own doctors like NFL? My understanding, Greg, is a lot of them, and again, I'm going to a name that I know because Dr. Andrews is like, I think he does a lot of athletes. They go to a lot of the doctors, I think, that the normal, your NFL teams use and everything like that. They fly them to the best, depending what their injuries are, they'll fly them to those doctors to answer a question. I don't know if they're not WWE doctors. I don't know if they're like under the scope of WWE. So if there's injuries, they automatically go there and they schedule them for the surgeries and all that. That I don't know, but they're not technically WWE doctors. There are doctors on staff that will diagnose them and do all their checks and then send them to whichever doctor they need to go to. I know Dr. Andrews is one of them that they used to use all the time. I don't even know if he's still in practice anymore. It's just the one that they used to, like every athlete or everything else used to be always, they went to Dr. Andrews and this and this and this. And so, but they send them to the top doctors in that field, depending on what they need. Like for instance, with E right now, he's with he's going to the neck doctors, to the best ones that they have there. That's one thing that, WWE is pretty good at, is making sure their talent taken care of health-wise, man. That's one thing. And, I can tell you a story about MVP when he was at, not when he first got in WWE, but they did a wellness. They used to do the wellness checks on the guys, and they found out that he had an issue with his heart. So he couldn't wrestle in the ring. So what they did was they had him do vignettes with Matt Hardy at the time, because I think they were right before they went for the WWE. This was his first run, not now. In his first run, they had to keep him out of the ring for a little while. So they did vignettes with him and Matt Hardy doing like playing basketball against each other, a whole bunch of stuff that they did. And that's how they kind of worked it out with him as he was, getting the assistance and everything that he needed till he got cleared to go in the ring. And then when he got cleared to go in the ring, then they pursued in with it there. Who can AEW hire to be in charge of storylines? Well, they've got now, I guess, you've got talent and creative is Christopher Daniels, Sonjay Dutt, Madison Rain is doing the women's. They've got a pretty good little crew, and they got coaches. You've got Arn Anderson. You've got a lot of creative people there. Who's all in charge now? I think before it came down to Tony Khan. And I think Tony Khan started getting a little bit stressed. And now I think there's been a change to the way that's going down now. Again, will that change? It's not going to happen overnight. And how much will it change? Because again, AEW isn't a tight ship compared to what WWE was. WWE, it was Vince McMahon or the highway. AEW wasn't brought in that way. AEW was to give guys more creative freedom to help facilitate in making a better work environment to the product on the air, which worked, I think, tremendously for a while. Now, I think guys have got a little bit too much creative juice and flow, and you're getting some of the product you're getting on TV now that's a little bit overboard to me. This is my opinion. Not saying anything. This is Sean Stanley saying, I think some of the stuff goes overboard with some of the matches. Just don't make sense to me. What are going to do with almost these handicap against no names have no purpose? Terry, I agree with you, but at this point, I don't know. They should have had that buildup going. I think they rushed it. And again, this to me was Vince McMahon. They rushed him too quickly. They never should have thrown him, to me, in the feud with, where he was squashing every, time until Bobby Lashley came back at WrestleMania and then beat him. It never should have it should have always been the buildup of him just squashing enhancement talent. He's an attraction. He's 7 foot tall. He's an attraction. He's not the guy that look, Andre the Giant was never the champion. Why? Because he was an attraction. Once you start putting belts on them, then they start becoming marked. I'm not saying that Andre couldn't have been a champion and everything, but dude, the Big Show. I agree with that, greater good. But then what happens? He loses to Brock Lesnar. He loses to Mark Henry. He loses. Then what? He's the Big Show, but what? If I'm watching, he started becoming the big guy that lost to everybody. Hell, he lost to Giant Khali. He lost to. I'm talking about wrestling ring wise, like storyline wise. It just, when you start doing that with them, then they start, what do you do with them after that? He's an attraction. Those guys should be attractions. Brock Lesnar, he's almost close to being an attraction. But he can still go with all the other guys, But to me, those big Omos is he's an attraction. Veer can work. Veer you can slide in somewhere. But Omos to me is not. I mean, what are you gonna do? Put him with AJ Styles again? Just doesn't make sense. Do you ever see AEW fail? No, because they have their fan base. The only thing is, I don't see them growing. That's the thing. That's if they're happy with where they are and they have their group, they can be Impact. They can be, MLW. They can be NWA. They can be, it doesn't always have to be, you might want to strive to be, that what WWE is, but don't mean that there can't be other, I don't think they fail. I just don't think they see the success that, unless they change something that the machine has. You probably touched on this before, but is Logan Paul a positive or negative organization? If you were to ask me this before SummerSlam, I would say he was a negative. He's a positive because he's bringing eyes to the product. But when I watched him at SummerSlam, I think he's a positive. He brings eyes to the product, and he can freaking work. He can go. He didn't look lost in there with The Miz. Now, The Miz is pretty damn good and can make guys look good. But Logan Paul was doing stuff that, he looked the part. So I think now, does he become the guy that you want to see Monday, Friday, every week? Maybe not. Maybe he's like the Pat McAfee, right? You break when you want to have a great match at SummerSlam or something like that. All right, let's bring Logan Paul back. Hey, let's bring him in. Okay, Pat McAfee, those guys, I think, they're almost like, break in case of emergency type things. But I mean, I don't think he's a negative anymore. Honestly, I don't, man. He has all those followers, which is bringing some new eyes to your product. And he looked damn good doing it. He didn't embarrass himself. He didn't embarrass the product. Hell, he looked like he knew what he was doing. I think it's a positive all the way around. Now, again, leave him what he was doing at SummerSlam now. I'm not saying throw him in a cage match or something next. Terry, you're 100% correct. Kevin Owens will probably be the next big push. You saw it this week. Hell, the guy who's been tormenting him, right, and been making a joke out of Kevin Owens, what did he do with him? He walked out, punched him right in the face, powerbombed him on the side. He's taken out in a stretcher. That's gonna be KO. It's gonna be KO. All right, guys. I want to thank everybody for being in with us today. Went longer than I thought, man. I appreciate everybody jumping on here and being a part. I want to make this show. I'm a fan of pro wrestling, so this is going to be a show for the fans of pro wrestling. But man, I appreciate all the support, the love, everything, the questions, man. Keep it up. Every Tuesday, every Thursday, we're going to be here 8 p.m., maybe 8:01, 8:02. But you know what I'm talking about, all right? You got it, brother? No. All right. Hey, by the way, I think I've read somewhere, and again, I think it might be Facebook facts. Hulk Hogan selling the NWO boat, $99K. So if you guys want to, you start sending in super chats. We get the $99K. I'll buy the boat. I'll take you guys on the tour. We'll be like, Gilligan's Island. We'll do a little tiny tour. All right. So hit up that super chat. $99K. If you got it and you can buy it, make it happen. What do you think they're going to bring? I think you'll see them at the end of the tournament, at the end of the tag team tournament. I liked what somebody said in chat last week. The winner of the tournament, hold it up, and you do the Cena, CM Punk, when Cena won the belt with Rey Mysterio and the CM Punk walked out and they had 2 champions. So you'll have 2, and then you'll probably end up doing a unification thing. I hope they do that. Again, it seems like the tournament's set, so that's probably what it's going to be. Frankie Fresco, Terry, Greg Wood, let's see, Alexis Panzuelo, Cornell Productions. Let's see. C-Man, Steve Chapman, Scummy, Big O. Let's see here else we got. My dad was in earlier. Heat Fins, Armando. I appreciate you all, man. And of course, every Tuesday, Thursday, 8 p.m., let people know. Let people know. Bring them over here. Have them subscribe. Like it. Spread the word. Help me out. Squared Circle Digest. Sean Stanley. And in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to.